Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to coverage of Audubon Green Wave Baseball here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. We've got a beautiful afternoon for some beautiful baseball here on Senior Day between the Haddon Garnets and the Audubon Green Wave. I'm Dan Wilkins. Our producer is running a little bit behind after a trip to the Stratford Hospital, so she'll be over shortly. But from everybody here at DWB, we welcome you to coverage of Heights and Audubon here on DWB on this Wednesday afternoon. Beautiful day for some baseball. Going to be honoring our three seniors on the Green Wave Ball Club: Charlie Grady, Scott Lynch, and Zach Beebe, who is currently out on concussion protocol. But Haddon Heights and Audubon going into the final week of the regular season neck and neck in the Colonial Conference, just as they were last year. And it took a game 1 year ago today that decided the Colonial Conference Liberty Division, which was a game that was rained out, rescheduled for the next day, and Audubon took home the victory 6-3. Excuse me. Getting over a bit of a head cold or whatever's going on over here, but Audubon has just done their infield, outfield, excuse me. Oh my goodness, somebody get me a water. Let's go over starting lineup, shall we? I'll try not to talk as much before senior day. Starting the Haddon Heights lineup for Eric Newell's Garnet Ball Club, we got shortstop Jake Grice batting leadoff. Oh my goodness. Oh. Jake Grice batting leadoff for the Garnets. Drew Harris in right field batting second. Cameron Simon is the DH batting third. Jack Turner is the third baseman batting cleanup. Drew Costello is the left fielder batting fifth. Kevin Clark is the catcher batting sixth. Noah Lackall is the second baseman batting seventh. Austin Boker is the first baseman batting eighth. And Danny Furlong is the center fielder batting ninth. Mason Dobbs, the RCSJ Gloucester commit, he is the starter for the Garnets this afternoon, but he will not bat in the lineup. For Rich Horan's Audubon Green Wave, facing off against Mason Dobbs this afternoon on Senior Day will be Tyler Wiltsey at shortstop batting leadoff, Ryan Zimmer behind the plate batting second, Scott Lynch batting third and at the first base position. And batting cleanup in left field is going to be Charlie Grady. In right field batting fifth will be Trent Bannell. At second base, excuse me, batting sixth is Jack Dempsey. Joey Slavin is at the DH spot batting seventh. Nick Caladros is the third baseman batting eighth, and Charlie Copsetta is the center fielder batting ninth. Gabe McCracken is on the hill for the Green Wave this afternoon, but he will not bat in the order today. So folks, we're going to bring your attention down to the field as we've got Senior Day activities on deck here in Audubon. We'll be right back after this. Coaches and umpires and captains just broke from their huddle at home plate talking about ground rules. Today, Audubon celebrates their senior day in 2023 as three seniors, Scott Lynch, Charlie Grady, and Zach Beebe, are going to play their ceremonies and have their names honored by their parents and by the athletic director, Tony Carbone. They're bringing out the players now. They're going to have special plaques ready for them as they talk about their achievements at Audubon High School. Haddon Heights warming up right in front of my view, so doesn't really help my case much, but for getting a good view of the senior ceremonies. What a celebration there from Heights. Haddon Heights having a little bit of a pep talk here before our senior celebrations. They were going to do it directly after infield and outfield, but taking a little bit of extra time here. Remember, this is a big game for everybody. Audubon is celebrating its seniors today, but Haddon Heights will also get to celebrate a good divisional spot, maybe even a divisional win if they win today. So, with that being said, we'll turn our attention to the third base line now as Tony Carbone, with a very quiet microphone, will introduce the three seniors. Starting off with, I believe that's Zach Beebe down there. That is Zach. So they just said over the microphone that Tony just said that Zach plans to pursue a math degree in Camden County College after graduation. Here's Charlie Grady. He's committed to Camden County College to play baseball. And here is Scott Lynch. He's committed to Sacred Heart University to play football. They're going to have a quick photo op here with the three seniors. A relatively quick ceremony considering there were a lot fewer seniors this year, but there'll be a heck of a lot more next year. But big congratulations to Scott Lynch, pictured right, Zach Beebe in the center, and Charlie Grady on the left, getting a nice photo op there with Tony and with Janara Furness, our team photographer. Let's get a look at those plaques right there, honoring their time in Audubon, getting a great picture there of what the senior plaques look like. Absolutely beautiful. And a beautiful day here in Audubon as three seniors play their last regular season home game at Hank Greenberg Field. It'll be a good one today as Haddon Heights squares off against the Audubon Green Wave. Again, Mason Dobbs, the right-handed starter for the Garnets, a commit to RCSJ Gloucester, and the sophomore right-hander who has not allowed an earned run in 22 straight earned innings will be Gabe McCracken, the right-hander who will be getting the start on the bump for the Green Wave. They're meeting in their huddles right now. Haddon Heights doing the same. Dobbs warming up in the bullpen down the third base line. It's going to be an incredible game. This is the second to last regular season game for Audubon and their last regular season home game of the year. They play Sterling tomorrow at 3:45 in Summerdale, and DWB's last broadcast of the regular season will be Friday, May 19th, 4 o'clock start time with Triton and Delsea. Delsea celebrating their senior day. That game was originally a 7 o'clock game, but just today it was moved to 4 o'clock at the high school field. So we'll see if we can still get that broadcast in, but if not, you can keep us updated, or we can keep you updated rather, on our Twitter at DW Broadcasting. Rich Horan reaching into the middle, fists are high in the air, ready to save the day. And the Green Wave take the field now. Gabe McCracken getting the start for the Green Wave this afternoon in the last home game of the regular season in front of an electric crowd here in Audubon. Your defensive lineup for the Green Wave this afternoon: Gabe McCracken on the hill. Behind the plate is Ryan Zimmer. At first base is Scott Lynch. Second base, Jack Dempsey. Shortstop, Tyler Wiltsey. He is back. He missed Saturday's game after having a hit on the head on a hit-by-pitch earlier last week, but he was able to return for Monday's game versus West Deptford and is back in full swing for the bookends of the regular season. At third base will be Nick Caladros, and in the outfield is Trent Bannell in right, Charlie Copsetta in center, and the senior Charlie Grady out in left field. And for the visitors, the Haddon Heights Garnets, let's take a look at their starting lineup. Starting with Jake Grice, who is the leadoff shortstop here for the Garnets, as coached by Eric Newell. Drew Harris is the right fielder batting second. Cameron Simon is the DH batting third. Jack Turner is the third baseman batting cleanup. Drew Costello is the left fielder batting fifth. Kevin Clark is behind the plate batting sixth. Nolan Latchall is the second baseman batting seventh. Austin Boker is the first baseman batting eighth. And Danny Furlong is the center fielder batting ninth. Again, Mason Dobbs on the hill for the Garnets, but not in the order, as he is not a prolific batter. And some teams, opt to use pitchers as a two-way player. Audubon does that a lot with Scott Lynch and Nick Caladros, but some teams just don't choose to do that, and that's exactly what Heights is doing this afternoon. So Audubon in the typical green and gold, and Haddon Heights in their visiting garnet red and yellow lettering on the jerseys, as Jake Grice, who led the Colonial Conference in at-bats last year with 112. He was one of two players in the entire conference to have over 100 at-bats in 2022. He returns with a thud, a loud one indeed, and a powerful one to start 2023. Haddon Heights 14-5 going into today's game. Their last one was a 9-3 win over Sterling and a 6-5 win over Paulsboro. So they are 2-0 on the week so far, but they've got 3 games left in the regular season, and that's going to be the pitch that sets things into motion tonight. A first pitch strike to Grice. Audubon 5-3 in divisional play in the Colonial Conference in the Liberty Division. Heights has a slight edge on that regard, as it's 6-2 in their record, but a 1-1 count to Grice. Here we go again with McCracken. His delivery outside, 2-1. Grice had 112 at-bats last year in 2022. He's mustered 60 this year, a .417 average for the junior shortstop. He is 25 for 60, 6 walks, 4 hit by pitches, and 9 stolen bases, which is probably why he's at the top of the order. And it's 3-1 quickly. Drew Harris, the right fielder, and the son of the special education teacher, Chris Harris, who's been teaching at Audubon for, I think, over 20 years now. Here's a line drive into right field, and Grice has a base hit. And that's how we start the ball game, and it gets right past Bannell. Oh my goodness. Going to second is Grice. And the throw back to second. Grice trailed off the bag, and a costly play in right field puts a runner on second base for Haddon Heights, bringing up Drew Harris. That looked like a routine play, and then it ended up turning into an extra base, and that'll be scored as a single E9. Here's Drew Harris. First pitch by McCracken is outside. Some of the Haddon Heights faithful, even though they're not Audubon fans, still making their way out to the ballpark today, enjoying the beautiful weather on the Wednesday afternoon. Breaking ball catches the zone, 1-1. 68 degrees here at first pitch in Audubon. Wind blowing north to northwest at 15 miles per hour, which means it's blowing out to left center field. Very low humidity, and it's going to drop to 63 by the time the game is done. Now it's a foul ball, 1-2. Now you may know more about this than I do, but I'm looking at the Apple Weather app, and I saw this yesterday during the game. We had a DWB showcase game between Buna and Cinnaminson, and I saw the same warning from the National Weather Service. It says red flag warning for Camden. What in the world does that mean?
I believe that means it's dry and you should watch for like fire pits and things. It can get fire.
Oh, okay. There's a swing and a miss. A strikeout for McCracken at the hands of Drew Harris as his father watches from right field. There's one down. Runner on second for Heights, and Cameron Simon, the DH, will be up now. I still think that Haddon Heights has done an incredible job to bounce back after losing two of their best players after they graduated and moved on. Caden Bodine and John D. Costanzo, just two incredible ball players. Both of them led stats in several categories. As Zimmer's throw down to third is not in time. And Grice with a stolen base, that'll give him double digits on his junior campaign. And it puts a runner on third here with an 0-1 count to Cameron Simon. But Caden Bodine was the only, I mean, he led the batting average mark in the Colonial Conference by over 100 points. He was batting .545 with, if you combined his average, his on-base percentage, his slugging percentage, and his OPS, divided it by 4, and compared it to everybody else in the Colonial Conference, which is my stat called OPS plus, or excuse me, OVR plus, which is your average on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and OPS divided by 4, and then compared on a 100 scale to the rest of the league. Caden Bodine's hitting was 30% better than the second best player. I mean, I couldn't believe it when I was calculating that over the winter. I couldn't believe it. It was just, I mean, he was 30% better than the second best hitter. And that's why he's batting third as a true freshman and one of the top 5 home run hitters in the ACC with Coastal Carolina. I mean, this guy has a great chance of going pro. I mean, seriously. And then John D. Costanzo as well, one of the top 3 in ERA in 2022, as it's going to be an 0-2 count to Simon. But he led, he was in the top 5 in ERA, and not only that, led the conference in innings pitched with 55 1/3 in 22. Swing. Let's make that 2 Ks for McCracken. Back to back, and there's 2 down. For Jack Turner, the third baseman. By the way, Audubon and Haddon Heights are neck and neck in our South Jersey Top 25 rankings, which were just posted this morning on our DWB Twitter at DW Broadcasting. Wilkins Wednesdays, I do South Jersey Top 25 rankings. And I know Dan Haverstick, the head coach for Rancocas Valley, he kind of put like a passive-aggressive waving emoji in that comment section, and I said, well, Rancocas Valley was a honorable mention, but they were just cut off of my screen, which was true. Lenape was as well, but I just found it funny, you know, like it's an unofficial ranking. It's by all means just, you know, fanfare and everything like that. So it's really just, you know, just for laughs and giggles and everything like that. So McCracken's going to get to work here with a runner on third for the Garnets and an 0-2 count. Here's the pitch. Strike 3 right down Broadway. McCracken struck out 3 in a row, and the side is retired. We go to the bottom of the first. Green Wave with their first chance to hit. No score. You're from Hank Greenberg.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Here we go in the bottom of the first inning. Haddon Heights and Audubon tied up at 0-0 as Gabe McCracken allowed a single E9 to start the game, and then he retired the next 3 in succession. Strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. Mason Dobbs for the Garnets this afternoon, who sports a 0.68 ERA in 20 2/3 innings for the Garnets. He's got himself a heck of a lot of appearances this year, and he's going to be coming into this one in what could be his last appearance of the regular season, as the cutoff, technically, for New Jersey baseball, the cutoff is technically today. It will be May 17th, so anything after today is technically not counted towards power points. Now, they can be counted towards divisional titles, but that would have to be if there was a tiebreaker or something, extraordinary that was going on, at the very end of the season. But it's 2-1 to Tyler Wiltsey. Starting lineup for the Green Wave this afternoon, Tyler Wiltsey, the NewJersey.com Freshman of the Year, now in the leadoff spot in his sophomore campaign as he takes outside 3-1. He bats leadoff here for the Green Wave in the bottom of the first. Ryan Zimmer behind the plate batting second. Scott Lynch is the first baseman batting third. Charlie Grady is the left fielder batting cleanup. And at the fifth spot is Trent Bannell at the right field position. Second base is Jack Dempsey batting sixth. Joey Slavin is the DH batting seventh. Nick Caladros is the third baseman batting eighth. And Charlie Copsetta is the center fielder rounding out the order in ninth. Full count here from Dobbs to Wiltsey. Wiltsey rockets one out towards right field, going back, and that one is going to be foul over towards Liam Corbel. Just skipped off of Corbel's right hand and out of play, so it's still 3-2. I mean, you're an athletic trainer, not the right fielder, so.
No.
Just makes sense that way.
Okay, thank you.
3-2 here. Dobbs delivers, and a pop-up out towards first, going over and trying to make the play is Boker, sliding, and it's going to hit off of the trees down the first base line that overhang over the field, and that's going to be a foul ball. I mean, both of them, the Boker and everybody else down there, Nolan Latchall included. I mean, Latchall even slid to try to make the play, but ended up just being no harm, no foul. Well, it was a foul, but a foul ball, to say the least. Here we go, 3-2, and Wiltsey is going to take ball 4 outside. So Wiltsey gets a free pass here, and that's how we start the bottom of the first, with Ryan Zimmer coming up to the plate here. Wiltsey, Zimmer, and Lynch, the senior, due up for the Green Wave here in the bottom of the first. The defensive alignment for Haddon Heights this afternoon, it's Mason Dobbs on the mound. Behind the plate is Kevin Clark. In the infield is Boker at first, Lackall at second base, Grice at shortstop, and at third base is going to be Jack Turner, and in the outfield is Drew Costello in left, Danny Furlong in center, and in right field is Drew Harris. Throw over to first, nothing going on there. And a 1-0 count with a runner on first here for the Green Wave, as they are just getting started here in the bottom of the first. The last time that Haddon Heights played Audubon, I know you weren't there for that game over spring break, but Haddon Heights won it 3-2. Really was one of those Hollywood situations, as here's a throw by Clark down to second base. Throw is offline, but the throw is going to get Wiltsey. So Wiltsey tried to go, but it was one of those throws where it was a happy accident, because the throw was offline about 5 feet off of second base, and it just happened to be off to the right, so that Wiltsey could have been tagged out in perfect time. The 1-1. Just missed, 2-1.
Good pitch, Mace.
So Wiltsey got called out there after trying to steal second, and that's going to bring us to first out of the inning. The 2-1 upstairs. It's a 3-1 count.
We got one.
Unless Dominic had it wrong, but I also might have had it wrong. It's going to be ball 4 to Zimmer because nobody's contesting it. So,
Okay.
Yeah, if it was a 3-1 count, or if it was a 2-1 count and Zimmer tried to walk on 3 balls, then I know the umpire wouldn't have let him get away with that. So here's Scott Lynch. Back-to-back walks, but an out has already been recorded via the caught stealing play. 1-0 to Lynch. Charlie Grady on deck for the Green Wave. In front of a packed house here at Hank Greenberg Field for one last hurrah in the regular season. Right now, the way it's looking, it looks like that Audubon could very well play Clayton in the first round, because I don't think Audubon's touching Buna. I mean, Buna, we had a DWE feature of them yesterday in Cinnaminson. They had their 20th win of the season, 5 shutout innings by the senior right-hander Austin Wilcock. He had an incredible game. And Buna, Cinnaminson is a very good team. I'll tell you that right now. They're 13-8 and a very good team. But Buna made them look like they were a barn burner with how they played the game. And Cinnaminson was hitting the ball, but the fielders were right there. So it wasn't a matter of Cinnaminson doing bad, it was that Buna was doing so good that it just ended up nullifying any progress that Cinnaminson could make during the game. So don't be surprised if Buna does a very good run in the playoffs. I mean, they made it far last year. Who says they can't do it again? There's a strike, 3-1. I mean, the Cape Atlantic Conference, and I know my good friend Doug Stasek, he knows a lot about the Cape Atlantic League because he live streams primarily the Cape Atlantic League, living down in Vineland and everything like that. But he does a lot of games down there, and he's told me before, and I agree with him, the Cape Atlantic Conference is the best all-around conference in South Jersey right now. I mean, the Tri-County is good, Colonial is good, but doesn't have really enough teams to make it interesting, and then BCSL is either really good or really bad. So, you know, it's 6 one way, half a dozen another. But Lynch is going to walk, and Mason Dobbs has walked all 3 batters that he has faced so far. And this sets up an interesting stage here for Charlie Grady, as Kevin Clark will go to meet with Dobbs here. 1 away, 2 on for the Green Wave, as the cleanup man for Audubon will look to set the record straight here versus the crosstown rivals. And as we said, in the last time that Audubon and Heights played each other back on April 13th of this year during the Easter break, Haddon Heights won 3-2, but Audubon loaded the bases in the top of the 7th, and Scott Lynch had a full count, but had a fly ball to right that was just short of the wall. So, hefty hack by Charlie Grady. It's 0-1. There's a strike on a breaking ball. Dobbs back in a groove. It's 0-2. I mean, I say that Dobbs is committed to RCSJ Gloucester, and to some more casual baseball fans, you think of RCSJ Gloucester and you're like, well, that's just a Rowan subcampus. But for those who are not aware about D3 colleges, we'll hold on that as here's a fly ball to right center field. The outfielders almost collided on that ball. That's going to be a RBI single for Charlie Grady, and it's 1-0. How about it? So Charlie Grady knocking one into the gap, not hard enough to split the outfielders Harris and Furlong, but it's enough to drive home a run, and it's 1-0. So runners on first and third here for Audubon, bringing up Trent Bennell. It was almost like watching those two in slow motion, Harris and Furlong. I was like, is one of them going to pick up the ball, or is it going to be like just...
I was just hoping they weren't knocking heads.
Yeah, heads clanging against each other. 1 out, 2 on, and a run home. And that one is high and away. Harris not exactly pleased with the home plate umpire here in the first inning with those balls and strikes. It's a tight zone. Tough game out there. Outside. 2-0. Yeah, a faint car alarm. That's not your truck, is it?
I hope not.
I don't think so.
You're going to be in trouble if it is.
There's a strike. 1 and 2. Excuse me, 2 and 1. You got it right. I was just going off the scoreboard. Outside, 2 and 2. Yeah, scoreboard says 2 and 2, so I'm going off 2 and 2.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. Runners on the corners for Audubon, trying to drive another home. Here's a ground ball to Turner, but it's foul. And another car alarm just went off.
Yeah.
I hope you didn't park in foul ball land, foul ball territory.
I parked on the other side of the street by the park.
Oh, that was an extra long walk for you.
behind home plate.
Yeah. Surprised.
Well, because the gate isn't open.
Yeah, it's a ground ball out towards the shortstop, and it's going to be a booted baseball. Make that an E6 against Jake Grice, as that ball went right to him, and it almost went through the 5-hole. And that is going to bring home another run. So that technically doesn't count as an RBI because it's on a ball that was reached on an error. So puts runners on first and second here as Jack Dempsey is up. Charlie Grady on second, and Trent Bannell on first base, as the sixth batter of the inning has come up without much interruption. If it weren't for Tyler Wiltsey getting thrown out at second base thanks to a incredibly lucky off-balance throw, then we'd have a 3-0 game with nobody out. But considering what Mason Dobbs came into this game with a 0.64 ERA, that ERA is going to go up a little bit. We saw that versus Haddonfield last week. Dane Sammartino came into the game, 2 earned runs all year, and boom, Audubon blanked him 5-0. Audubon is the street killers, you know? Streak killers, not street killers.
I was going to say.
I think that was Tupac's stage name in the early 90s before he got big. No, I'm just kidding. One and two. Slaying a miss. Dempsey down on strikes, and he'll walk back to the dugout here, 2 down. Joey Slavin up here. Joey Slavin had the lone hit in the first 6 innings of the game on Saturday's game versus Shawnee on the 13th. And then Audubon was able to muscle back and tie the game at 3-3 before Shawnee won on a walk-off. Audubon's loss versus West Deptford on Monday marked the first time all season that Audubon lost consecutive games this season. Their record's currently 15-7 through 22 games. Remember, Audubon finished last year 22-6, so minus 1 win and 1 loss from the playoffs, and they would have been 21-5 at the end of the regular season. But then they played 5 games in Myrtle Beach, which no longer count towards power points, which that's the incredible thing about Audubon's run last year, is that they lost. They were 4-4 after 8 games down in Myrtle Beach. They didn't play 8 games in Myrtle Beach, excuse me. After 8 games on the season, halfway through their trip in Myrtle Beach, they were 4-4. Came back, had that 12-inning game versus West Deptford. Isaiah Pinckney won the game with a walk-off homer, and they never lost until June 4th of that year. They did not lose a single game in the month of May. That's crazy to me. And, by the way, it's a 2-1 count to Slavin. That's up and in, 3-1. When I first started doing the Wilkins Wednesdays, one of the things that was interesting to me was that, when Buna was off to like a 10-0, 12-0 start, I didn't have them that far up there. I think I had them like around 15th or something like that. But right now they're number 1, and I only had them where they are because I only had them where they were because they were playing teams like Atlantic City and Bridgeton, Pleasantville, those teams in the Cape Atlantic that can't really, step up to the big guys a lot. So what I was doing was I was like, I kind of had a change in mindset. But we'll talk about that in the second inning as Joey Slavin is down on strikes, but Audubon brings a pair of runs home. They go to the top of the second inning, 2-0 Green Wave lead. This broadcast is brought to you in part by DJK Roofing, South Jersey's #1 roofing supplier with over 200 5-star reviews on the web. Get a free quote today by calling Carmine Rampolla at 856-778-3900. Again, that's 856-778-3900. Beautiful day, not a cloud in sight in Audubon as the Green Wave lead 2-0 over the Haddon Heights Garnets. Haddon Heights has always struggled versus Audubon when they're on the road, but Audubon has always been a homer kind of team, and this is a pitcher's park. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is a pitcher's park. Here's a ground ball to third, and foul. Off the bat of Drew Costello, the left fielder, to lead off the second. Plane flying lowly overhead. American Airlines. Ball 1-1. So, what I was saying earlier about, what was I talking about? I said I'm going to pick this up in the second inning, and then I lost my train of thought. Do you remember what I was talking about?
I'm not paid to pay attention. Wait, I'm not paid at all.
Nah, it's 2-1, but
I think you were talking about your Wilkins Wednesday rankings.
yes, I was talking about those. So, yes.
See, I do pay attention.
Yeah. Buna was like 12-0, 14-0 at one point in the season. And I didn't take them all that seriously. Here's a ground ball out to Wiltsey, picked up, and the off-balance throw is going to be wide, and it's going to skip past Lynch, and that's going to be a infield single for Drew Costello. Although you could drum that up to an E6, but really 6 one way, half a dozen another could flow either way. I'm personally going to score it an error, but you can do what you wish there. Here's the lefty Kevin Clark. Catcher here for Heights, filling in shack-sized shoes for Caden Bodine. I mean, it sounds like a silly analogy, but really, I mean, Caden Bodine, 30% better than the second best hitter in the Colonial Conference last year. And they just called a balk on Gabe McCracken. That's the second time that's happened this year. They just called a balk on Gabe because he keeps forgetting that when you go through that motion, you have to throw the ball. And for the first month of the year, he had gotten away with it all the time because none of the coaches knew the rule.
Yeah.
But when you go up against teams that know the rule, they're going to call you out for it. They're not just going to let it be water under the bridge. They want that free base.
Knowing Gabe is going to be practicing all summer and come back next year without that happening.
Yeah, hopefully not, at least. A bunt by Clark, and it's foul. Going to be 0-2 to Clark, who will be followed by Nolan Lackall, the second baseman, in the order for Heights.
Go way ahead here, Gabe. Let's go, kid.
0-2 to Clark. One more time. Let's get this rolling. Swing and a miss. McCracken with his 4th strikeout. And there's one down.
Get one.
Here's Lackall.
Go, Gabe.
Ball skipped away, and holding at second base is going to be Costello. 1-0 to Lackall, the second baseman. Inside 2-0. So yeah, Buna, I hadn't taken them too seriously when they were 14-0 because they had played a very pedestrian schedule. So I was kind of accounting for that with their strengths of schedule. And then I realized something. I was like, hey, Audubon had a 17-game winning streak last year, and they played a lot of barn burners. They blew teams out 13-1 almost every day of the week. And they blew out even some good teams. They mercy ruled some of the best teams in South Jersey. but because they didn't play that great of teams, why should I judge Buna for who they played versus who Audubon played last year? No matter who you play, winning 14 games in a row is not easy. Buna got all the way to 17 wins in a row before they got their first loss in Cape Atlantic play versus Absegami on May 1st, which is, you're giving me that confused look. It's a school in Galloway. Here's a ground ball out to short. Wiltsey again on the run. The throw is in time. And that's going to move Costello to third. If Heights gets a run here, it will be the first unearned run that Gabe McCracken has allowed all season. Wow. Runner on third here for Heights. And Boker, the first baseman at the dish. He'll be followed by Danny Furlong, the center fielder, but with 2 outs, that will be pending if the inning continues. 1-0. But yeah, no matter who you play, even if it's barn burners or some of the best teams in the state, or even if it's professionally, winning 15 games in a row is not easy. As there's a line drive deep to left field by Boker, and Charlie Grady comes down with it. That might have been a no-look catch. It went right over his shoulder, and he came down with it. An amazing play in left by Charlie. Way to show out and sparkle on your senior day. We go to the bottom of the second inning, 2-0 Green Wave. Mason Dobbs back out for another inning of work here in the bottom of the second inning. 2 runs scored for the Green Wave in the first frame, but we'll see what Nick Caladros, the number 8 hitter in the order, can do. Here is your watching coverage of Audubon Green Wave baseball here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting between the Haddon Heights Garnets and Audubon. If you have any questions or comments about today's broadcast, drop me a line at thedanwilkinsshow@gmail.com. 0-1 the Caladros. Don't forget, folks, our last feature game of the regular season is tomorrow, 4 o'clock, with the Triton Mustangs and the Delsea Crusaders. That's going to be the Crusaders' senior day tomorrow. Friday, excuse me. I've been losing all sorts of...
That's why I was giving you that look.
Yeah, I was...
got Audubon.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Well, I didn't forget about Audubon. I just forgot the days of the week, if you will. But
every day is baseball day.
Yes, every day is baseball day. The Gregorian calendar is a social construct. Caladros strikes out, and that's going to bring up Charlie Copsetta, the center fielder. Really a shame that BB couldn't play on a senior day, but with that concussion protocol, you really got to take concussions seriously. And it's not the first concussion that BB had. It was just the first that he had while playing baseball, which it's unfortunate because, you look at the career of, there was a wide receiver for the Detroit Lions, Calvin Johnson, was an incredible player in the 2000s and 2010s, but once he suffered 3 concussions, he immediately hung up the cleats and never played an NFL game again, because he knew that if he got any more concussions, he was going to risk being, having the CTE and everything like that, and brain damage, yeah. And the brain is no joke, it's not like an appendix where you can just kind of cut it out and you'll be fine, or like half of a kidney. It's just, like your brain is what makes you go. You can't live without it. So keeping the brain healthy is important, and people complain all the time about the NFL being a soft sport and like the roughing the passer calls and everything like that. I would be fine if the NFL turned into some sort of like quasi flag football league where penalties were harsher than ever, because it's important to make sure, because look, hockey there's cross checks and there's everything like that, but that doesn't happen every 30 seconds. It only happens, like a couple times a period, and usually they're not terrible. I mean, they're hard, but
It used to be.
they used to be back in the 80s with like Bobby Orr and.
Well, they used to play without helmets.
Yeah, I mean, everybody used to play without helmets at one point. Yeah, don't be surprised if by 2030 the NBA starts wearing helmets.
Yeah, really.
That would make free throws interesting, but the NFL, people complain about penalties all the time, and then I'm just like, well, it's important to make sure that these players are safe and they're not, cooked by the time they're 45.
Those helmet-to-helmet ones are awful.
Runner on first for Audubon here with an 0-2 count to Charlie Copsetta, to Tyler Wiltsey. Copsetta's on first base. Basketball, you don't have to worry about it, because there's no contact. If there is, it's a foul.
Yeah, really.
Baseball, the only contact you get is if you get ticked off at somebody or if you get hit by a pitch.
Like BB did, yeah.
But it's baseball to person, not person to person. Throw by Turner. What a throw by Jack Turner. And Copsetta is going to be out at second base. No. Never mind. They called him back. Foul ball. Yeah, that looked very close to the line, and I was wondering what the call was going to be, but they called it a foul ball. So,
Still one out?
yeah, still one out. Runner on first base and an 0-2 count to Tyler Wiltsey. 1-2. Fouled back. Three strikeouts for Dobbs in this one. Runner goes, and there will be no throw to second base and an uncontested stolen base for Copsetta. And it's 2-2. Stepping off. Here we go, 2-2. Strike three inside corner, and Dobbs records his fourth K of the night. 2 down. This will bring up Ryan Zimmer. Zimmer walked and scored his first time. One to Zimmer, and he's going to foul that one back. It's 0-2. Zimmer down in the count, 0-2. Runner on second for Audubon. 2-0 Green Wave. And a swing and a miss. Dobbs with a big strikeout there to retire the side. We go to the third. 2-0 Green Wave. Top of the third here in Haddon Heights. This broadcast is brought to you in part. What's that?
In Audubon.
What did I say?
In Haddon Heights.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the Haddon Heights bus and I said, oh, yeah, Haddon Heights, yeah. Ignore me.
You're only the broadcaster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's McCracken's first pitch downstairs, and it's 1-0. This broadcast is brought to you in part by Proley's Printing and Bantwell's Banners, Signs, and Apparel, the true one-stop shop for all your print and promotional needs with a 5-star Google rating. Over 50 years in business, handling any ink-on-paper project, as well as banners, signs, apparel, and promotional swag. One, two. McCracken deals outside. Furlong followed by Grice, and here's a ground ball out to Dempsey and a bad hop into center field. That's not really anybody's fault right there. I mean, that took a bounce of its own. Yeah, I mean, really, it bounced so high off the infield that it was, you would have thought it was spring-loaded. That's going to be a runner on first after a lucky base hit. You would have thought we were on press your luck with how lucky it's been today. Here's Jake Grice. Singled and E9, reached on an error by the right fielder his first time, got all the way to third base but did not score. Here's McCracken's first pitch. And a pop-up down the right field line, Bantle going over, and it is foul towards the marching band van. 0-1, and some Heights players are in a full sprint to get that baseball. They are going quickly, and then one guy just ran out of gas. Didn't know we were watching track and field on the baseball field.
There we go.
There you go. Multi-sporting, folks, multi-sporting. 0-1 to Grice with a runner on first and nobody out for the Garnets.
Here at EWV, we cover it all.
Yes, including Haddon Heights varsity players searching for a baseball. They're still looking for it. They can't figure out where it is.
Might have gone through the fence.
They're looking in like a pile of grass or something like that. Here we go. 1-1. Downstairs. See out there. They're gonna go behind the van. Bless you.
Thank you.
Did we get it? That's Matt DiMatteo out there, number 10. They're on a hunt. They are on a manhunt for that baseball. You know how expensive baseballs are these days? Here's the pitch. Lofted out towards first, picked up by Lynch on a dive, and he makes the play. Grice is retired, but Furlong moves to second base. And there's one down.
I admire the effort.
Somebody put on the Indiana Jones music.
Dun, dun, dun.
There's one down. That's Matt DiMatteo and Adam Stevens out there. They've now gone behind the marching band van. They can't find the baseball. Here's the first pitch with a ground ball that's going to almost hit Furlong, and they're going to throw to third to get the lead man, and they got him. So Harris will reach first, and that's going to be the second out, as it looks like Stevens and DiMatteo have given up their manhunt, unless, I'm trying to check their hands. He doesn't have it. Does Stevens have it? I think Stevens, look at his right hand. I think he's got the baseball. I think they've got it. Runner on first for Haddon Heights.
I checked the replay, but it didn't show where it went.
Going down to second base will be Harris. Yeah, I didn't see either of the players. One of them, Stevens, had a closed fist in his right hand, so I thought maybe he had the baseball like gripped in his hand, but no, I think both of them came up
It
empty
might
with
have
it.
just gone out in the street.
It might have, and you'd think somebody would have told him, hey, it's in the street.
Yeah. There's a person in the lawn chair out there, didn't even flinch.
Yeah. think that's Mark Wiltsey out there. It's 1-1. to Cameron Simon.
Never a dull moment.
Runner on second for Haddon Heights with 2 down in the top of the third. I just found it so funny. They were just bewildered at where the baseball went.
Yeah.
I didn't exactly catch where it went either. I thought it was still in the ballpark, but
Give them A for effort.
yeah, I mean, they were on a mission. They were determined. They waited an entire batter to get that baseball. And I'm sure somebody's going to find it after the game and give it back, but time is called. I mean, you've seen Dick's Sporting Goods, $8 for a baseball?
Yeah.
Wrapped in plastic, brand new.
You used to say to me, hey, Mom, let's get a bucket of baseballs. And I'd be like, what bank am I robbing?
There's a swing and a foul tip. 2-2. I mean, seriously, like, I have to go to Dick's Sporting Goods either tonight or tomorrow because I'm running out of pages in my second scorebook. This holds 20 games, and I've already run through 2 of these. And that includes like college games and, you know, all the games that I've been to this year. We would have gone through 3 if we had the Thank You Classic, 10 games in a weekend. I would have already been through my second, if not my third. But seriously, I was looking there and I'm just like, it's almost the price of a cheap bat that you can get at Walmart, and it's crazy out there. McCracken retires Cameron Simon, and Haddon Heights leaves the runner on second and a baseball unattended in right field. We go to the bottom of the third, 2-0 Audubon. Mason Dobbs here in the bottom of the third inning, facing off against Scott Lynch as the Green Wave lead 2-0 over the Haddon Heights Garnets in the second to last regular season game of the year, and the last regular season home game for their 3 seniors and for everybody else in the ball club in 2023, but more importantly for Scott, Charlie, and Zach, their last regular season home game as a member of the Green Wave, as Lynch down in the count 0-1. And he's going to line this one in the center field, and it will fall in front of Furlong. It'll hit off his shin, and that'll be a base hit to lead off the third for Lynch. As a cloud of sand just came up from first base. Windy afternoon here in Haddon Heights, here in Audubon. Oh my goodness. The second time I said it. I swear somebody wired my brain wrong, you know?
Don't show up at the wrong high school tomorrow morning.
I know. Gotta make sure I have the right papers on me. There's a swing and a miss by Charlie Grady, 0-1. Lynch, Grady, and Trent Bannell are the 3 due up for the Green Wave in the bottom of the third. Runner on first for Audubon, and nobody out. I'm sure some of the parents that are listening in the car right now, I know Charlie Copstetta's mom, she listens in the car on the way from work, and then she gets here around the 4th inning and everything like that, but I remember just looking at this Vincent game from yesterday. Here's the foul ball, back to the screen. Oh wow, it went through the screen and into the grandstands. It actually went through the tiny gap in the screen between that pole. It bounced off the screen and it went through it and just missed the continental grandstand. So yeah, we were talking about traffic and stuff like that. And yesterday with Buna and Cinnamon, strike three called on the outside corner. Grady's retired, but Buna got to Cinnaminson 20 minutes late. The game was supposed to start at 3:45. They showed up at 4. Game didn't start until 4:25 for a 3:45 start time. And it was because Buna's bus was stuck in bumper-to-bumper traffic on 295 trying to get, all the way up there. And I talked to their head coach, Tom Carney, and he sent me a message that was saying, we're about 5 to 10 minutes out. And then they showed up 20 minutes later.
Right.
It was really funny to me. And also, by the way, counts 2-0. The funny thing is that Cinnaminson has their own transportation system that takes all the elementary kids home, and then the buses come back to the high school at the end of the day. So every bus that was coming into the parking lot, all the fans were like turning their head like it was Orwellian something, 1984.
Right. Watching every bus.
Watching every bus. Is this Buna's bus? Is this Buna's bus? No, it's another Cinnaminson bus. And then there was a track meet and a lacrosse game going on at the same time. So there was a Bordentown bus pulling in, there was a Gateway bus pulling in, there was a Kingsway bus pulling in, there was some Academy bus as well, and some charter, and it was like everything everywhere all at once. And
funny.
And the last bus that showed up was a Buna bus. Ball 4 to Trent Bannell. And that puts runners on first and second. But people have asked me sometimes why I do more of like a radio style commentary. I do like a hybrid of radio and TV style commentary when I do these games, but it's because not everybody can watch it on their big TVs and stuff like that. Some people just plug in their Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, whatever you want to call it, for the non-iPhones, and they listen to the game on there. So I try to accommodate everybody who's listening, whether it's just through audio or whether they have the video as well. Because if they have the video, if they find me annoying, they can just mute me. The people that are in their cars, if they want to hear what I got to say, then they hear all of it. 1-0 to Jack Dempsey, runners on first and second, as Dobbs in another jam here with the walks. Lynch had a single to start the inning, and then a strikeout to Charlie Grady, and then a walk to Trent Bannell. Sets the stage for us now here. Dempsey takes up and in, and it's quickly 3-0. Dobbs trying to work back here, salvage a couple strikes out of this batter. And he gets at least one. Popped up, foul. That's going to make it 2 strikes on Dempsey, and it goes into the street near the park out there.
Stay away from the truck.
Yeah, stay away from, I would call it the DWB Mobile 2, but it's not our car, it's your father's.
Yep.
So.
Just borrowing.
Uh-huh.
I got to give it back in one piece.
Oh, yeah. I guess it was 2-2, because now it's 3-2 count to Dempsey. Count on the scoreboard has been a little all over the place today, so can't blame Dom, though. Dom does an incredible job doing the scoreboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially in his first year. I mean, he's like a hawk when it comes to attention to detail. Here's a pop-up, Blackall, backtracking and backpedaling, and he is going to dive to his feet there and make the play. I feel like he might have lost it in the sun, because I feel like normally that wouldn't have been a necessary dive, but he might have lost it in the sun for all I know. So Nolan with a nice play out there, and this brings up Joey Slavin. 2 outs, 2 runners on, and 2 runs on the board, all in favor of Audubon. Here on Senior Day, Green Wave lead 2-0 in the third, as that one is fouled back to the screen, and Slavin started to run down the first base. I don't know what that was all about. Started to run down the first, and it hit the screen, and then he just started running the first. I was like, what in the world are you doing, buddy? Oh my goodness. Here we go, 0-1. Runners on first and second for Audubon. If this inning continues, Nick Caladros would be up. Slavin takes inside. 1-1. Dobbs at this point has a grand total of 6 strikeouts and 2 2/3, but has 5 walks. Kind of playing devil's advocate a little bit here, but 6 strikeouts and 5 walks. The 6 strikeouts are great, but the 5 walks are partially why Audubon's up 2-0. We'd be a scoreless game if he had a couple more strikes on his leisure, but foul tip, 1-2. You know, if he had a couple more strikes on him, then probably, knock that number down to 2 or 3 walks, because high school baseball is a game where there are a lot of walks, no matter, even if you're the best pitcher in the state, there's just a lot of walks. Hitters' plate discipline is really good in high school, and also when the pitchers, when you get to the bottom of the bullpen and to the bottom of the barrel, you end up faced with this situation where I saw it best in the Deptford Audubon scrimmage back in late March. It was the last scrimmage that Audubon played because the Triton game that was supposed to be played on April 1st was rained out. So when that was all going on, Audubon led by a good 6 or 7 runs, and then as soon as Deptford got to their last pitcher that they were going to throw, he just kept throwing walk after walk after walk. It felt like watching a senior home trying to run the bases. It was just so slow. I mean, it was abhorrently slow, and it ended up just being the case that after it went to 14-8, and after Deptford walked in their 3rd run in a row, they literally just called the game. Deptford coach walked out and said, "We're done," and then they left. Speaking of left, that one is going to have Haddon Heights leave the field here in the bottom of the 3rd. 7 strikeouts for Mason Dobbs, and he leaves 2 runners on to end the 3rd. We go to the top of the 4th. Audubon still leading, but not by enough of a cushion to make me comfortable. It's 2-0 Green Wave. Here in the top of the 4th, it's time for DWB Trivia Time, as Gabe McCracken will have another inning of work. Today's trivia question is, in terms of the number of teams, what is the smallest conference in South Jersey? Is it the Tri-County Conference, the Burlington County League, the Colonial Conference, or the Olympic Conference? The answer will be revealed in the bottom of the 4th inning. We'll go back to the main board as it is 1-0. Jack Turner, the cleanup man for Haddon Heights, who struck out to end the 1st. Takes another swing and a miss, 1-1. Downstairs, 1-1. Turner, Costello, and Clark due up for Haddon Heights in the top of the 4th, and he's going to line this one out towards Dempsey. He picks it up, fires the first, and it's in time, 1 away.
One down, Charlie! One down! Hey, one down, Nick, one down! They got one. Yeah, one, got it.
So here is Drew Costello, the left fielder.
Hey, Gabe.
Haddon Heights with 3 hits so far. Gabe McCracken with a grand total of 5 strikeouts so far in 3 1/3. There's a swing and a miss. Just hit 5 o'clock Eastern time, 5:02. As the sun is still high in the sky this afternoon. Not a single cloud in sight as far as I can see. Caladros going to pick up a ground ball, but it's foul. And it's 0-2.
Way ahead!
Tomorrow in Summerdale going to be very similar to today, sunny and 68. And then our next broadcast, which will be the playoff game on Monday, going to be a bit hotter, clear and 77. Summer's here, folks. Summer is here. Although I'm going to be really excited because we have a deal that we're working out with the South Jersey South Shore Baseball League with Joe Bunning and Jim Kurtz, everybody like that, with the Buna organization. We're going to have a lot of games down there this summer, along with BFA Sports and Doug Stasic. We're going to have like a partnership with everybody down there. And McCracken records his 6th strikeout of the day. But what I love about the shore is that even when it's hot here, it's not as hot down there. I love the shore breeze and everything like that because it makes a 90-degree day feel like it's 70. And like I've seen some people down in Florida or California where if it's below 65 degrees they'll put on a parka. But like I'm the kind of person where I don't even want to leave the house if it's above 85. I don't like hot days. I don't love the cold either. Like I don't, if it's like 20 below, I'm not going to go outside, but I'm not going to go do snow angels or anything like that in basketball shorts and a t-shirt. But like the spring, I love this time of year because it's the perfect weather. The fall, that's a little different because by the time you get to October, it's either 80 degrees or 45 and there's no in between. That's at least how it works in Jersey.
Especially New Jersey weather. Just flip a coin what you're going to get.
Yeah, Mother Nature likes to play 777 slots over there and how she decides the weather. Flip a coin, it might be 85, it might be 50 and rainy. 1-2 to Kevin Clark.
Come on, Gabe!
McCracken looking for his 7th strikeout. Still no earned runs this season for the right-hander as you continue to knock on wood. I don't care about jinxes. They don't exist. Zimmer, his throw to first is in time and the side is retired. 7 Ks for Gabe McCracken. He continues to wheel and deal. We go to the bottom of the 4th, 2-0 Audubon. Here in the bottom of the fourth, it's time for DWB Trivia Time. Today's question is, based on the number of teams, what is the smallest conference in South Jersey? Is it the Tri-County Conference, the BCSL, the Colonial Conference, or the Olympic Conference? Producer Donna, what's your guess?
D, Olympic.
You are incorrect. It is the conference that we are observing right now, the Colonial Conference. Only 10 teams in the Colonial Conference across 2 divisions, and it's actually the smallest conference in all of New Jersey. And the reason why it is because it's a small conference because it's always been that way. Technically, the Colonial Conference has 12 teams, but only 10 participate in baseball, as Lindenwold and Woodbury do not have a formalized baseball program.
Oh, okay.
I believe they have a club team or something like that, but I know I saw Woodbury play a game versus STEM Civics where they had a really nice game, but I don't think it's officially NJSIAA sanctioned. So, and Woodbury used to be a good team. They used to have about a 500 record about like maybe 10 years ago or something like that, but coaches change, players change, and the community changes as well, you know? There's just some times where a town really no longer loves the game of baseball, and the players don't love the game of baseball, the kids don't love the game, and when you want to focus on other programs, it just kind of gets kicked down the road and kicked down the cans. But yeah, the correct answer is C, the Colonial Conference, just 12 teams, but the Tri-County, Burlington County League, and the Olympic Conference all have way more teams. As Dobbs records his 8th strikeout of the day. It's really been a pitcher's duel. The 2-0 score might fool you a little bit, but 14 strikeouts combined by both starting pitchers. Dobbs with 8, McCracken with 7. Excuse me, that's 15. 8 plus 7 is 15, yeah. Although that last strikeout was Dobbs' 7, so it was 14. I miscounted the numbers. You would think a junior in high school can count to 14, but apparently it's easier said than done. Look, I'm good at math on a spreadsheet, not in my head.
You're good at baseball statistics.
Yes. Well, I mean, you worked in you know, in IT for a long time, and
I also worked with
statistics, yeah.
I can't say the
So
word.
I learned how to use Microsoft Excel when I was like 8 years old.
Oh yeah, I showed you how to do that.
Yeah.
Color coding, making percentages.
Only in the last couple of years did I learn the formulas, but I mostly learned that on my own, but with a little bit of help from you. But like, how long did you work in IT? 20 years?
No, I only worked in IT for like 2 or 3.
Oh, 2 or 3.
Yeah, but the whole time I was doing a lot of statistical analysis.
That's going to be ball 4. Copsetta analyzing that at bat well, not taking the bat off his shoulders more than once, and he's going to get a free base out of this one. So a 1-out walk, bringing up Tyler Wiltsey for the 3rd time today. He walked in the first, but was called out at second trying to steal a base, and then he struck out his 2nd time up. Copsetta has walked both times today. Yeah, the Tri-County Conference is literally what the name is, Tri-County. Okay. Gloucester County, Salem County, and Cumberland County.
Where's the Olympic?
They are mostly larger schools.
Oh, okay.
Some are in Camden County, like Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill West and East are both in that conference. Cherokee, the kind of the Indian group of schools, Cherokee, Lenape, Shawnee, that's technically kind of an Indian-based school.
Yeah.
I believe that's the name of a tribe, I think. That one is upstairs, which I didn't know until recently, but...
Well, and they also used to live all in New Jersey.
Yes. But the Shawnee tribe actually is a recognized tribe from Oklahoma. As throw over to first, nothing going on. 1-0 count to Wiltsey. Yeah, I actually didn't know until the Saturday game. I was like, what is Shawnee? Is it named after a person? Because like, there's a school, AP Shalek High School. It's informally known as Shalek, but it's named after Arthur P. Shalek, who was a pioneer in the area and also the founder and kind of like sole donor to the high school when it opened in the 50s. Throw over to first, nothing going on. I mean, 90% of high schools are named after what town they come from. Audubon is in Audubon. Haddon Heights is in Haddon Heights. The only difference, I would think, is that Sterling High School is in Summerdale. There's no such thing as a Sterling town.
Right.
And Gateway, there's no such thing as a Gateway town. It's in Woodbury Heights. So everything else, though, as far as I'm concerned with that conference, you know, there's all the tech schools, the parochial schools. They threw it down to second base, but that was a great deke by Charlie Copsetta. He took like 5 steps off of first and then went right back. So 2-1 to Wiltsey. Two and two. 2-2. Runner on first for Audubon. Dobbs stepping off. Each starting pitcher this afternoon, 7 strikeouts apiece in a 2-0 Audubon lead. Copsetta going down, but it's going to be a moot point as it's foul out towards the park. It's a foul ball. Two. Copsetta runs again. This time Clark's going to line up a throw, and it is late and a little high. So brought down there, and Copsetta's got a stolen base, bringing a full count to Wiltsey. Foul ball. Off the batting cage, still 3-2. So in terms of numbers, the Tri-County Conference has 22 teams, which is less than I thought, but they have 22 teams and 4 divisions. They have 2 divisions for small Group 1 schools, and they also have 2 larger divisions for Group 3, 4, and parochial schools. And Wiltsey is down on strikes via the K for the second time today. 8 strikeouts for Dobbs. That's going to bring up Ryan Zimmer.
Quite the pitching duel today.
Yeah, I mean, the scoreboard doesn't really show it, but 15 strikeouts combined by both starting pitchers. And then the BCSL, which is the Burlington County Scholastic League, they have 19 teams across 4 divisions. And then the Olympic Conference has 16 teams across 3 divisions. And I was right that the Olympic Conference is more focused towards higher schools in terms of school size. Like the American Division has Cherokee, Rancocas Valley, Lenape, Cherry Hill East, and Eastern, which are all regional Group 3 or 4 schools. And even the Patriot Division, Shawnee, Morristown, Cherry Hill West, Seneca, and Winslow, big schools. And once you get further down in South Jersey, you see a lot of larger schools because the population is more spread out. So you see those regional high schools with, you know, a couple thousand kids compared to Audubon, who has 850 students, and Pittman, who has just 400. But that's going to be outside. 1-2. Haddon Heights, the faithful out and right, not too happy with that call. But 2 strikes, 2 outs. Let the inning breathe a little with a runner on second for Audubon. Copsetta's running. That one is outside. Throw down to third is not in time. Stolen base for Copsetta. As a cloud of dust emerges from third base, he is in there safely with a stolen base. His second of the inning.
Down to our last strike though of the inning. And
yeah, that was a risky.
if we can get him up.
That was risky. Yeah, it was risky because Audubon already has gotten out once trying to steal a base, but that was also on an incredibly lucky throw. Zimmer fouls it back out towards Boker, who made the catch, but it doesn't count because it's off the screen. So still 2-2. Yeah, the national division in the Olympic Conference is all parochial and tech schools except for Camden High. Here's a line drive to right, base hit, falling in front of Harris. An RBI single for Zimmer makes it 3-0. So Copsetta, who rolled the dice a little bit, trying to steal third with 2 strikes and 2 outs, was able to make it pay off. And with 2 outs, Zimmer's going to be pinch ran for here by Jason Stockland. So Stockland getting aboard here, getting a shot to pinch run for Zimmer with Scott Lynch at the plate. Lynch has had the same fate as Wiltsey today so far, a walk and a strikeout. Or excuse me, no, he had a single, excuse me. I was looking at Zimmer's card. Lynch had an RBI earlier this week versus West Deptford, had 2 home runs, so I should say more than a RBI, had a grand slam and a solo home run, 6 RBIs all told for Scott Lynch in that 12-11 loss to West Deptford. That was the longest game we've had all year at DWB, which was really funny because the West Deptford Audubon broadcast was the longest of the year, 3 hours, 19 minutes. Yesterday's broadcast was the shortest of the year at 1 hour and 44 minutes. So we had the longest and the shortest broadcast of the baseball season back to back. And we had 10 minutes of pregame too. So it was an incredibly short game. 2-1. Zimmer, or rather Lynch, gets one out to center field, and it's over the head of Furlong. He almost fell face first into the grass, and that's going to be a double for Scott Lynch. And that's going to hold Stockland at third. So runners on second and third for the Green Wave as they've got another chance to score here with Charlie Grady.
I don't know how he pulled that out. I thought he was going to go down head first. I was holding my breath for him.
Yeah, I mean, that was
not going to be pretty.
And there's no padding on that fence in the outfield.
No, I'm like, please don't go down.
Yeah, do not hit that fence.
We don't want to see our opponents get hurt like that.
Well, Mason Dobbs is going to be taken out of the game. A great performance by him, but that double really put the final nail in the coffin. 7 strikeouts, 5 walks, and a handful of hits given up to Audubon. We're going to have a Parolee's printing pitching change here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Audubon leads 3-0 with 2 runners in scoring position. We'll be right back after this. Pitching change for Haddon Heights. New pitcher for Haddon Heights. Excuse us, we've just been singing Taylor Swift during the break. They put that one song, You Belong With Me, on
They were playing it on the field.
They were playing it on the field, and I was like mouthing along to it. I was having the best time of my life, honestly. Anthony Priori.
That's how we roll.
The new pitcher for Haddon Heights says Clark is going to have to smother that one in the dirt. 1-0. Charlie Grady up here with 2 runners in scoring position for Audubon. It's a shame the pitching change didn't last longer. I wanted more Taylor Swift. I know she just performed in a
You usually don't listen to her.
Well, Some of the songs are good.
All right.
I will say that. I don't like her new work though with the Midnights. Can't stand that anti-hero song. The
Oh, I
anti-hero.
love that
I
anthem.
can't stand it.
Because it is me. I am the problem.
Well, you call balls and strikes good, so. It's 3-0. No, but I mean, I just saw all the pictures on social media of people, you know, that went to the concert, and it's crazy how it's just like everybody seemed to go to that concert, and I'm just like, how do you all collectively? How are you all able to afford this? There was an old English teacher of mine that went to the concert on a Sunday night and had to go to school Monday because she's a teacher, but she ended up calling out because she didn't get home until like 2 in the morning. It took her an hour and a half to get out of the parking lot.
Yeah, well, my husband is a limo driver, and he had a van full of...
By the way, that's a walk to Charlie Grady. Bases are loaded.
He had a group of women that he took to the concert, and it took them an hour and a half to get out of the parking lot. And like after that, there was still a lot of traffic. So it's crazy.
People love Tay Swift.
T-Swift.
Yeah. 0-1 to Trent Bannell, and he's going to ground this one to Turner. And I guess he caught it because that's going to end the inning. We go to the 5th. Audubon gets a run home, but leaves the bases loaded. 3-0 Green Wave.
Hi.
Gabe McCracken pitching here in the bottom of the, or rather in the top of the 5th inning, as the Green Wave lead 3-0. They scored 2 in the 1st and got another one home here in the 4th. As Audubon leads by 3, that first pitch is away, and in the dirt to Nolan Lackall, the second baseman here for Haddon Heights. Mason Dobbs, the RCSJ Gloucester commit, was taken out of the game in the 4th inning. Anthony Priori was able to finish off the inning with a line drive, left the bases loaded for Audubon. So could have had more than one run, could have had much more than one run, but that's all she's wrote for now.
Okay. I didn't know.
1-1. Breaking ball, swing and a miss, 1-2.
Yes, I know.
7, 8, and 9 due up for Haddon Heights. Lackall, Austin Boker, the first baseman, and Danny Furlong, the center fielder. Downstairs, 2-2. 2-2. Ground ball, foul. Seven strikeouts for McCracken. Dobbs had 8 before he was taken out. 2-2, swing and a miss. Make that 8 for Gabe as he continues to wheel and deal.
Out of 1 calls.
Yes,
That's about 12 outs right now. If we were adding them up, it's about 12 outs.
It'll just be like a cricket game. Although, it's really funny because cricket is one of the most popular sports in the world, outside of the United States, of course. It's popular in Asia, in India, Bangladesh,
Yeah.
that kind of place
European
in
countries, yeah.
Southeast Asia. Yeah, some places in Europe. But it was originally introduced to India by British colonizers, back when it was like the British East India Company kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's originally how the game got started. And you would think a person that is throwing a ball to a batter, or as they call it, a batsman, by the way, counts 2 and 1 to Boker, you would think, well, the game's pretty similar to baseball, right? It is not. I had a friend of mine who, when I went over their house, they had the direct TV all-inclusive cable package. Like, they would get the third string tennis channels that maybe about 5 people watched, and he had the cricket channel. So one time I was just sitting on his couch, and there's another strikeout by McCracken. He's got 9. I was sitting on his couch, and I was watching a cricket game, and I'm just like, well, I like baseball. Why wouldn't I like cricket? And then the scoreboard pops up on the bottom of the screen, and it says 237 to 14, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a blowout. And then I realized, oh, that's not what I was looking for, because it's a matter of how high you hit it in the air, how far you hit it. It's almost like a glorified home run derby, but for people with calculus degrees. It's crazy.
That is crazy. Now I'm going to have to check out a game.
Yeah. Maybe take some medication before you do, because it might give you a headache if you don't know what you're talking about. It's 1-1 to Danny Furlong. He got a single his first time on a rather interesting play that bounced right over Jack Dempsey's head. Took a bad bounce off the infield, and it's 1-2.
How many strikeouts does Gabe have?
9 so far, but he's 1 strike away from double digits.
Wow.
In the dirt. Because I know I'd said kind of as a joke sometimes on the broadcast, a couple times, if a pitcher really spikes a ball in the dirt,
Right.
it's a cricket pitch. But that's like the analogy that I use to call it, a cricket pitch, if he
Right.
really spikes it in the dirt a couple feet in front of home. And that's strike 3.
Yeah, that was
Inside
right there.
corner, double-digit strikeouts for Gabe McCracken. He continues to be
Beautiful.
dominant here in the final regular season home game of 2023. We'll keep moving along to the bottom of the 5th, 3-0 Audubon. Top of the 5th inning here in Audubon is, bottom of the 5th inning.
Yes, bottom of the 5th.
Green Wave leads 3-0 as Anthony Priori gets another inning here as he finished the 4th after relieving Mason Dobbs, who had 8 strikeouts and 5 walks. Here's a pop-up by Wiltsey over towards first. Boker can't get it, and it's a foul ball. I don't know if that play would have counted anyway, because as you can see on screen, those traffic cones are what decides whether a ball is in play or not. So I don't know. I mean, Ryan Horner of Cinnaminson made a play right up against the fence that separated not the playing field from out of bounds, but from the fence separated the grass from the parking lot. So he really went way out of his way, but I don't know if, I mean, they counted it, so could be just umpire discretion, I don't know, but and a 1-1 count to Wiltsey. Priori gets him for a strike, 1-2. Fouled back, 1-2. 1, 2, and 3 due up for Audubon. Wiltsey, Zimmer, and Scott Lynch. Haddon Heights earlier this week had a walk-off versus Paulsboro. They won 6-5 with a back-and-forth game. A walk-off sacrifice fly by Nolan Lackall won the game. Lofted out towards the right side and foul. Excuse me, I completely just messed up. I thought it was Tyler Wiltsey at the plate, and then I looked at my scorecard, and I'm just like, that is not Tyler Wiltsey's batting stance. So, excuse my bluff there, but Jack Dempsey is the hitter. It is 6, 7, and 8 due up for Audubon. Apologies there. And there's a strike. So Dempsey is out on strikes. I knew something didn't look right. It's just like that is a much deeper stance than Tyler Wiltsey takes. There's a bee flying around the outfield here.
I wouldn't be able to tell you who was who.
Slavin up here. First strikeout for Priori. 23 for Heights, delivers to number 21 for Audubon as Slavin fouls it back to the screen, 0-1. Don't forget, folks, busy week for DWB, busy second half of the week. Tomorrow is Audubon's regular season closer versus Sterling in Summerdale. Time of the game is going to be 3:45, and then the Delsea Crusaders, they celebrate their senior day at 4 o'clock on Friday versus the Triton Mustangs. That'll be a DWB feature right here on Dan Wilkins Broadcasting. And then our last DWB feature of the spring will be Pennsgrove and Gloucester City on May 23rd, the day after the first round of NJS IAA playoffs. 0-2. Popped up. That's more than a pop-up out towards center field, but Furlong is there on a can of corn, and there's 2 down. So here is Caladros. There's the Audubon logo in the pitcher's mound right there, and Priori just stepped on it. The Audubon A right there. Something that I never really pointed out on the broadcast, but you know, our pitching coach Wade Geis put a lot of work into you know, kind of stylizing the mound and putting that Audubon A on it. But here's a little shallow pop-up. Lackall is back there, and Nolan makes the catch to retire the side. Audubon goes down in order. Haddon Heights will look for a little bit of redemption here in the 6th. 3-0 Audubon. As Trent Bennell loudly declared in right field, the top of the order is due up for Haddon Heights as Green Wave leads 3-0 in the regular season closer in this 2023 campaign. It'll be Bryce Harris and Cameron Simon up for the Garnets. You know, it's really funny when I was following all these high school baseball Twitter accounts at the start of the season. One of the things that stuck out to me was that Haddon Heights' Twitter handle is Haddon Heights Rockball, and which I thought was really funny because Garnet is a stone, you know, a rock. It's Rockball,
okay.
Rockball. So I thought that was really funny, but foul ball by Grice, 1-2. Gabe McCracken with 10 strikeouts here in his last regular season appearance, probably this year. Swing and a miss. Make that 11. Something got caught in my throat. One down, 11 Ks. Oh, and 1. Sorry about that, folks. Drew Harris at the dish. 11 strikeouts and a ground ball past third into left. And a base hit. Going to second is Harris. And he's in there with a double. Kraken went into the 6th inning with 73 pitches on his mark. As now Heights has a runner on second following the double by Harris, who has reached scoring position twice out of his 4 at-bats this afternoon. Excuse me, 3 at-bats. Struck out his first time. Reached on a fielder's choice, his second. First extra base hit that Gabe McCracken has allowed so far in this one. As Cameron Simon, who has struck out in both appearances, is now going to bounce one back up the middle. Dempsey hits it off of his shin and it trickles into center field. Going around third and scoring easily is Drew Harris, and it's 3-1. So Heights gets a run back, and they are no longer having a goose egg on the scoreboard as Haddon Heights batters greet the runner Harris in the dugout. And I still think McCracken's fine. That was literally just 2 hits that scored a run. So yeah, we're going to be on first here for Haddon Heights is Cameron Simon with the RBI single from the DH spot. Bringing up Jack Turner. First pitch is a strike. No, excuse me, it was a ball. 1-1-0. Fouled back. Here's a closer look at what the plaques looked like, if we can get that on there. That's a better look at what Zach's looked like, and then Scott's. Very nice plaques over there, and really an excellent job by whoever designed those. I think that might have been Bob's Trophies out in somewhere right near that 295.
Yeah.
Right near Copley Road.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's considered. What town? Might be Longside.
It probably might be Longside. 1-2. Up and in. 2-2.
Come on, game, let's go!
It feels weird to think that next year will be my last year covering Audubon sports full-time, being a senior, you know. There are some people that thought I was a senior this year, and they're like, is this your last year? And I'm like, no, I'm a junior, you know.
It's the beard.
It's the beard, yeah.
Makes you look old.
Especially when it was a lot longer and a lot more scruffy, and I had the long hair. I looked like a homeless man. It was just like...
Or an MLB pitcher.
What, like Bailey Falter or Matt Strom? Noah Syndergaard? Although, Noah Syndergaard's blonde.
Yeah.
He's Thor.
You had the long hair, but it wasn't blonde.
Right. I used to have blonde hair.
You were a baby.
When I was like a toddler, like 3 years old, I had white, like almost
Platinum
white hair.
blonde.
Yeah, platinum blonde hair.
Platinum blonde.
And had that bowl cut, looked like 2010 Justin Bieber.
You did not. I never gave you a bowl cut.
Yes, you did.
No.
Look at the pictures from 2007.
All right.
I remember them very well. Not the memories, just the pictures. 2 and 2. No. Excuse me. 3 and 2. To Jack Turner with a runner on first and one away for Haddon Heights as they trail 3-1, but they're on a valiant effort for a comeback here in the 6th. And McCracken steps off. No action in either bullpen. Turner off the hands and the right. No, stopped by Dempsey, but the ball rolled out of his glove, and that will be an infield single. So Jack Turner with the 3rd straight hit by Heights. And now McCracken will be tasked with facing Costello. And by the way, that did end the streak of earned runs, because that was a double and a single. I didn't even notice it at the time, but that did end the streak that McCracken had going for him. First pitch to Drew Costello, who is 1 for 2 today. He's going to get one off the hands. Back to the mound. McCracken lines it up and throws it over for the 2nd out. 1-3 ground out. Let's bring up Clark. Runners on 2nd and 3rd for Heights. Outside, 1-0 to Clark. Yeah, that did snap the streak, considering it was a double and a single. Snapped the streak of, let's see here, 19 plus 5. That'll be 24 2/3 innings that McCracken had consecutively without an earned run. Yeah, I mean, that is incredible of what he's been able to accomplish this season. I mean, really, just nothing better, really. Going to be poked out towards Wiltsey, and he's going to boot it. Throw to first is not in time. Tyler Wiltsey bobbled the ball at short and couldn't get the throw over in time. That'll be an E6, and it's going to bring home another run for Heights. It's 3-2. You got to think, with the amount of errors that's been in the infield this year, especially in the last couple of weeks, that's got to hurt. And that allowed a run as well. Wade Geist coming out to talk to his man, Gabe McCracken. Get some work done here. As Cameron Simon scored on that previous play to make it a 1-run ball game, 3-2. To Nolan Lackall. He is the 7th batter of the inning for Haddon Heights. Let's go! 2-0. 3-0. McCracken could load the bases here. You don't want to leave him in for too long. Josh Nolan is warming up in the Audubon bullpen. The 3-0 is a strike, 3-1. After this, if the inning continues, Austin Boker will be up for Haddon Heights. Let's try this again. Runners on the corners. 3-1 popped up and beyond the first base barrier and out of play. Count is full. Three-two, and he's going to ground this one foul. The payoff to Lackall is a swing and a miss, and McCracken gets out of the jam. 2-run score for Heights, and he gets his first earned run in 24 1/3 innings on the mound, but Audubon still comes out on top. We go to the bottom of the 6th, 3-2 Green Wave. Audubon Heights 3-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning, as Anthony Priori getting the trust of Eric Newell again, as he will face the first batter here for Audubon in the bottom half of the 6th, that being Tyler Wiltsey. No, excuse me, Bryce Dempsey. Bryce Dempsey hitting in the place of Charlie Capseta here in the bottom of the 6th. So it'll be Bryce Dempsey, the pinch hitter for Charlie, followed by Tyler Wiltsey and Ryan Zimmer, the catcher, due up. Bryce grounds one out towards Grice, and it trickles into center field. A base hit for Bryce Dempsey off the bench. And the Green Wave have a leadoff base runner here to start the bottom half of the 6th. A pivotal time in the ball game as Tyler Wiltsey gets his 4th at-bat of the day. 2 strikeouts and a walk, but he was out trying to steal second base. In the dirt, 1-0. Leadoff man here for Audubon, Ryan Zimmer, on deck for the Green Wave as Priori steps off. Downstairs, 2-0. From Priori to Wiltsey. Outside, framed well, but no call. 3-0. And now Clark coming out to talk to his man Priori. Audubon leads 3-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning. And Audubon needing some insurance runs here to try to avoid getting Audubon in a hole. You don't want to go into the 7th with a 1-run lead. Ideally, you want to have a 3-run lead at least, so that, in case there's pressure on, Nolan here. Although Charlie Grady is warming up in the pen. So is Garrett Gordy, the senior for Heights. That one is outside, and Wiltsey will have a 5-pitch walk. And that's going to put runners on first and second. So, okay, I see what they did. So Charlie Copsetta came in as the pinch runner after being pinch hit for. I can't say I've seen that before, but Eric Newell coming out here could see a pitching change as Anthony Priori surrenders a single and a walk to start the bottom of the 6th, and that is indeed what we will see. We'll see who they go to, though. Or at least I think they're going to make a pitching change. I don't know for sure, though. I thought they were at first, but I don't know. I mean, they've got Garrett Gordy warming up in the pen for Heights. They also had Charlie Grady warming up in the bullpen for Audubon. There's Gordy getting some stretches in there. Umpire coming out here to break him up a little bit. And Priori will stay in the game, so my apologies for jumping the gun there a little bit, but oh-2 count to Zimmer. Outside. Zimmer cranks one to left, but over to make the play will be Costello. One down. So now Scott Lynch will be up here. And now looks like we're going to see a pitching change here with 2 outs. In the bottom of the 6th, getting a hand from the Heights faithful. Priori will be relieved from the game, and we're going to have a Broly Spring pitching change as Garrett Gordy, the lefty for Heights, will come in here. Excuse me, the right-hander for Heights will come in the bottom of the 6th, needing 2 outs to send us to the 7th inning in a 3-2 game in favor of Audubon. We'll be right back after this. Garrett Gordy starting here in relief for Haddon Heights in the bottom of the 6th inning. Needing 2 outs to get out of the jam, but Audubon looking for some insurance runs, and the first task he has is to face Scott Lynch. A battle of the seniors. Gordy with a 6.70 ERA in 15 2/3 innings, although that was a stark turnaround from the 2022 campaign he had, where he had a 2.88 ERA in 24 1/3 innings. This is his 9th appearance of the 2023 season, last appearing on Monday, a 6-5 win versus Paulsboro. In the dirt, 2-0. Fouled back. 2-1 to Lynch. He has reached base all 3 times, a single, a double, and a walk, which was his first at-bat of the game. Had an RBI double back in the 4th to make this a 3-0 game, and a ground ball to Turner. He dives, but it's foul. I don't know why you would dive forward for a ball that was heading in that direction, but wasn't headed to his side. It was headed straight in front of him, so he just kind of lunged at it. Didn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it's 2-2. Charlie Grady on deck, another senior here. As the seniors have been really productive in this one, especially on senior day, but it's been a lot closer of a game than last year's senior day, which was a 10-0 blowout of Collingswood. Here comes the throw from Grice to first, and it is not in time. Heights couldn't believe it. They thought he might have gotten him at the bag, but Scott Lynch beats it out. Heights doing a little bit of chirping at the second base umpire. It seems like they didn't exactly appreciate that call. I don't know if I exactly got it on view, but close play. So the bases will be loaded after Lynch reached on the infield single. Bases loaded as Gordy has to hold down the fort versus Charlie Grady to avoid this game getting out of control. I mean, in a 1-run game, it is still very much in control, but just one thing you got to consider is that, you know, when you're looking at everybody who's you know, watching this game and seeing how close of a score this is, you know, when Haddon Heights beat Audubon 3-2 last year, Audubon could beat Heights 3-2 later on. Austin Boker just made a diving play off of the bricks, or off of the wood panels behind home plate. That was really interesting. He's been going all out on plays that don't count. 1-1 to Charlie Grady. Scott Lynch on first, Tyler Wiltsey on second base, and Charlie Copsetta on third for Audubon. Here we go. Down low, 2-1. Ground ball into right field, a base hit. Harris is going to pick it up. Scoring is Copsetta, coming around, trying to score is Wiltsey. He is in there. 2 RBI single off the bat of Charlie Grady on senior day, and it's 5-2. So it's going to be runners on first and second now, as Gordy in a little bit of trouble here. 2 runs allowed on that single. Both teams have scored 2 runs apiece here in the 6th, and it's 5-2. I know Haddon Heights is still reeling a little bit after that play at first base, which could or couldn't have been called an out, but a close play. And back-to-back singles for Audubon. They've had 3 hits this inning, 8 hits today, and a foul ball by Bannell, and it's 0-2. 5 runs on 8 hits. They've had 1 error in the field, and they lead by 3, and that's exactly what I was talking about at the start of the inning. Once they got those 2 runners on, they needed the insurance runs. You can't go into the 7th inning having your heads, cockily high with a 3-2 lead. You needed to have a little bit more of a cushion to consider yourselves safe, because this team has been off the walls all year. They blew a 9-0 lead versus Timber Creek, but then they came back from an 8-0 deficit versus West Deptford. You're just rolling the dice every time you take the field. Bannell cranks one to left. Costello is there, and that will be the 2nd out. So Jack Dempsey will get another shot here with runners on 1st and 2nd. The first 3 for Haddon Heights will be Boker, Furlong, and Grice in the top of the 7th. Strike 1. Foul ball. 0-2. Or excuse me, 0-1 to Dempsey. No, it is 0-2. I'm sorry. Scoreboard took a little while to update. That one is downstairs. Ground ball, foul, and Coach Knoll had to do the splits to get around that baseball. He had to jump up there to avoid the ball from hitting him. Still 1-2 to Bannell. Audubon leads by 3 runs, 5-2. Over Haddon Heights, as they'll have one last shot in the top of the 7th before we get to go home. Whether it's positively for Audubon or negatively for Haddon Heights, or the other way around. Really, anything's possible in this game. Just now, 2-hour mark. Started around 4 o'clock, and since it's 6:06, foul ball down the right field line. And out of play onto Walnut Street and off of somebody's left front fender. 8-9-1 due up for Haddon Heights in the top of the 7th inning. But Gordy 1 strike away from salvaging the damage. Here's a ground ball to Boker. And it's going to get past Boker in the right field. Scoring is Lynch, and he drives home another insurance run on the error by Boker. It went right through his legs. He is very upset with himself, as that will be an E3, making it 6-2. So Boker just lets the ball pass right through, and that's going to give Audubon another run, putting runners on the corners, bringing up Joey Slavin, as the inning just keeps on keeping on with the 7th batter of the inning. Up here, Jack Turner giving some words of wisdom to Gordy. First pitch to Joey Slavin coming up here. He's 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts and a flyout. Well, the Haddon Heights faithful, they showed up in bunches, especially for the students, and now they are all departing in masses, going their separate ways, looking at the scoreboard. I mean, 6-2 is not bad, but considering that Haddon Heights and Audubon are probably going to end up splitting the season series at 1-1, you want to win both games against your crosstown rival. Haddon Heights and Audubon is a rivalry, that has stood the test of time, almost 100 years worth, and these kids, they know. When I do a boys basketball game between Haddon Heights and Audubon, you might as well think I was on the front lines of a war, because where we do the basketball public address, you're right in the middle doing the public address, announcing the game between the two loudest student sections in the county. And I'm surprised I don't have deaf ears after, watching and being at those games. But I'm right in the middle of it. And the banter and, Tony Carbones, he's got to stand right next to me while I'm doing the game to make sure that nobody's fighting each other in the stands. It's crazy. But the 1-2. Inside, 2-2. Up and in, count is full. Swing and a miss, and Gordy gets out of the sixth with a strikeout of Joey Slavin, but the damage is done. Haddon Heights trails by 4 as the Green Wave pile it on with 3 runs in the sixth. They lead 6-2, going to the 7th. Here we go, Gabe McCracken. He is pitching here in the top of the 7th as he just threw, if that scoreboard will update, I believe that is pitch number 100 for Gabe this afternoon, as he has been phenomenal. 11 strikeouts of Haddon Heights as it's a 2-0 count. Charlie Grady is out and left, but I would imagine in this kind of scenario he would be on standby if Gabe McCracken goes over his pitch limit. 3-0. This is facing the bottom of the order for Haddon Heights. Boker, Furlong, and then Grice. And that's going to be a 4-pitch walk.
Let's go, Charles, let's go.
And after that 4-pitch walk, Ryan Knoll is coming out. And to the folks in the grandstands, you better give him the biggest round of applause that you've given him all season. Over 100 pitches, 11 strikeouts, and his first 2 runs of the season allowed after 24 innings on the mound. He had 24 scoreless innings. That streak may have ended today, but he is the reason why Audubon is on pace to win this one if the bullpen doesn't collapse at the last second. So we are going to have a Parole's printing pitching change. Charlie Grady coming on to try to close it out in a 4-run ball game. We'll be right back after this. Here we go, top of the 7th inning. Audubon leads Haddon Heights 6-2. As it's time for Proley's Printing pitching change. This broadcast is brought to you in part by Proley's Printing and Bantles, Banners, Signs, and Apparel, the true one-stop shop for all your print and promotional needs with a 5-star Google rating. Over 50 years in business, and if you need any graduation lawn signs and banners, flyers, A-frames, business cards, or envelopes done right, this is the place for you. 0-1. As Austin Boker got a 4-pitch walk out of Gabe McCracken, which was his last pitch of the game before he was taken out by assistant coach Ryan Knoll. Pinch running at first is Matt DiMatteo for Haddon Heights, and that is upstairs, 1-2. Charlie Grady, the flame-throwing right-hander, he is in for the Green Wave to try to close this one out. Not a safe situation, but a 2.25 ERA for Charlie. 21 strikeouts in 18 2/3 innings. Here's a high chopper to third. Caladros on to Dempsey for 1. Throw to first. They're going to actually hold the baseball there. So fielder's choice, 5-4. Still has a runner on first, but instead of it being DiMatteo, it is going to be Danny Furlong. So fielder's choice getting the top of the order set up for Haddon Heights in a 6-2 game. Trying to make things special happen here for Heights.
Here.
1-0 to Jake Grice. In the first at-bat of the game, he got to second base on a single E9, but has grounded into a 3 unassisted and struck out in his other 2 appearances. 2-0. That's inside. Grice had to hop out of the box, and it's 3-0. On deck for Haddon Heights is Drew Harris, who had an extra base hit back in the 6th when Heights got their first runs on the board. Count is going to be now 3-1. Jason Stockland moving over into left field now that Charlie Grady is on the hill. Strike 2. Grice started to step out of the box, but the umpire had him halt there. Count is full. Runner on first for Haddon Heights following the fielder's choice, which preceded a walk and a ground ball out to Wiltsey. This could do it. Flip to Dempsey for 1, and they are not going to have enough time for a double play. So for the second play in a row, that first base runner will be replaced. So instead of DiMatteo, it was Furlong, and now instead of Furlong, it's going to be Grice. So still, runner on first for Heights. Drew Harris up at the plate. Trying to end this game, Charlie Grady trying to lock down what will be an incredible game on all fronts, pitching-wise, offense-wise, defense-wise, maybe a little less so, considering Audubon's got a couple of errors in the field, but so does Heights. So, look, sometimes, not everybody has it in terms of defense, but the 0-1. Strike, 0-2. Audubon 1 strike away from winning their last home game of the 2023 regular season. They've got 1 game left tomorrow versus Sterling. And now the runner's going down to second on defensive indifference, but that's not going to matter as there's a base hit in the center field. It actually mattered more than I thought it would, because getting that hit and run start puts Grice all the way at third. And the single by Harris keeps the ball game alive, putting runners on the corners now for Cameron Simon, the DH, who struck out his first 2 times and then singled and scored back in the top of the 6th. Haddon Heights brought up 7 men to the plate in the 6th. This is already the 5th batter of the 7th. Audubon trying to avoid a shaky win. If they win today, they would improve to 18-6. And if Haddon Heights loses today, they would fall to 14-6. There's a strike. 0-1 to Cameron Simon. If the ball game continues, Jack Turner is next. That one skips away, and Harris thought about going to second base, but he holds up. Putting runners on the corners with Harris on first, Jake Grice on third. 2-1. A strike right down Broadway, and the Audubon faithful prepare yet again. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 on. Audubon leads 6-2. They were up 3-0 for the longest time, and then Haddon Heights broke the scoreboard with 2 runs in the top of the 6th. They look for another foul ball, and it's 2-2. Audubon again plays Sterling tomorrow at 3:45 in Summerdale for the last game of the regular season. We'll find out the seeding of the playoffs tomorrow on the 18th and who Audubon will play, probably the number 2 seed in South Jersey Group 1. A fly ball, again foul, over towards those Hampshire Ave houses. And it's 2-2. Cameron Simon, the lefty, facing the senior right-hander Charlie Grady on senior day. And another pop-up. Another foul ball. Can't get any better than that. I remember last year on senior day, Aaron Rampola threw an inning and a third in what was his only high school appearance. Charlie Grady's had more than one, and he's had a couple shaky situations this year. But almost every time he has prevailed. Time is called at home plate. Haddon Heights down to their last strike. Stay tuned for the DWB postgame show after the ball game if Audubon hangs on. 2-2. Popped up. Another foul ball. Oh my goodness. That one is on the Hampshire. And again, 2-2. Fans growing restless here at Hank Greenberg Field. In the closer of the regular season, Charlie Grady looking to close it out, and he will with a swing and a miss. And Ryan Zimmer applies the tag, and the ball game is over. Audubon splits the season series with Haddon Heights 1-1 as they split their 2-game set in what was a close one in both instances in 2023. As Audubon takes care of business here at home one more time in 2023, they win it 6-2 after leaving 2 base runners on in the top of the 7th inning for Haddon Heights. Folks, your player of the game is going to be Gabe McCracken with 11 strikeouts and 6 1/3 innings pitched, but an incredible ball game. But since we have already interviewed him, and because it is senior day, we are going to interview Scott Lynch, considering that it is his senior day, and he had a good day at the plate, so I have an excuse to, other than it being senior day. So everybody's giving out their handshakes and giving their goodbyes to Haddon Heights as Audubon wins this one 6-2. We'll be right back after this with our DWB postgame show presented by Doug Does Anything for the player that can do anything. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our DWB post-game show presented by Doug Does Anything for the player that can do anything. We've got ourselves Scott Lynch, who had yourself a great day, and obviously Gabe McCracken had an incredible day on the mound, 11 strikeouts and 6 innings of 2-run baseball, but because it's senior day and you haven't gotten an interview yet this year. Yeah, I know, Charlie's got one this year under the belt versus PVI, but thought it would be time for you to get one in the last regular season home game of the year. But for yourself, reached base all 4 times, two singles, a double, and a walk. How'd you feel out there today?
It felt good, I'm more relaxed at the plate, and I think that's definitely helping me. So, I'm not trying to do too much with the bat, and I'm just trying to, square it up.
Yeah, and I mean, last year, 4 home runs for you this year, and then 4 home runs last year, and then had 2 versus West Deptford. I mean, the ball was flying that game.
It was, yeah.
I mean, 5 home runs combined, but it seems like what you've been doing with your swing, been hitting less home runs. The entire team has been hitting less home runs. They had 14 last year, if only had 5 in 2023. So it's different, but it seems like you've changed your approach a little bit to where you're not swinging for the fences anymore. You're just swinging for contact, making sure you get on base and stuff like that, and a couple extra base hits here and there, and driving in a couple runs and everything like that. Just being a better productive hitter at the plate, and having some good defense out there as well. With you being a senior, how do you feel this team has improved from this year, or from last year to this year, considering that we're 1 day away from the last game of the regular season? How do you feel this team has come this year?
We lost a lot last year, but our younger guys really stepped up. So we didn't really lose much. Our pitching, we lost a lot of pitching, but Gabe stepped up, so it's really helped us.
Yeah, and I mean that situation of you don't know if the young guys are going to work out, but when they do, it's great. Because it's an unknown kind of factor, but it really ends up helping you guys when the underclassmen, the freshmen, and the sophomores, they can really step up and do a great job, especially because, this is your last regular season home game right here in Audubon, where you've been for 3 out of your 4 years, except for that 1 year in Florida. Yeah. But other than that, though, a great game at the plate, not just for you, but for everybody on the team. And, you've kind of adjusted into this role where you're hitting in the 3 spot in the order after last year hitting a little bit further down because of those seniors that were there. You were 5th in the order last year, 3rd in the order this year. Have you done anything to adjust to that, or just play the ball like it is?
I'm definitely, just trying to get more singles, like just, hits. I'm not trying to do too much, so I'm just trying to get the bat on the ball.
Yeah, I mean, that's really just strategy that you kind of have to have. Today is the cutoff, though, for NJ Baseball. The seeding will be tomorrow. Audubon plays their last regular season game versus Sterling tomorrow, and then it looks like Audubon will either play Gateway or Clayton on Monday the 22nd for the first round of the playoffs. That's what it'll be, and, the playoffs are starting way earlier this year than last year.
There's a bigger gap.
There's a much larger gap. I mean, the first round of the playoffs last year was June 1st versus Salem. This year it's the 22nd. But the state finals are still on the same day, and considering how rest is for pitchers, that's going to be a bit of a challenge, because pitchers can really only, you might only need 2 starting pitchers on the roster.
Game 2 and 3, because they're spread out.
They're spread out so much. It's a bit crazy. But how do you guys feel going into the playoffs as a team? How does your team feel going into this?
I think we're at the peak right now, and we're playing our best. So, and we got our pitching down. Everyone's hitting the ball, so we're looking good.
Good pitching and good hitting. That's the formula to a good baseball team. Defense may be a little bit of work, but that's what drills are for, and that's what the practices are for that you guys do after. I mean, a couple of errors here and there. Everybody makes errors.
It's high school baseball.
Yeah, high school baseball. A lot of walks, a lot of errors, and a lot of singles. Not a lot of home runs. So going into the playoffs, 1 more regular season game left. Right now, 17 and 6, and Audubon is right now, I believe, the number 2 seed in South Jersey Group 1. Buna is number 1, and then Pennsville and Pittman are hovering right around 3 and 4. So the playoff mentality, we've been there before. Audubon has not made it out of the second round of the playoffs since 2017. What is the Green Wave going to do this year that's going to be different and that's going to move them along?
I think everybody's just got to relax and just play baseball. Don't try to do too much, and if we hit the ball, we field, we're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
We got to hit.
And that's how it works. Yeah. Thank you, Scott. Best of luck on
you.
your future commitments to Sacred Heart University and everything in your college football career if we don't talk until the playoffs. So thank you, Scott.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. So that is our player of the game presented by DWB and the Doug Does Anything crew, your local man. If you need anything done, no matter how big or small, give Doug Does Anything a call, 856-412-0118. So, folks, 6-2, Audubon beats Haddon Heights in the last regular season home game of 2023. Audubon will play the Sterling Silver Knights at 3:45 tomorrow in Summerdale for the regular season closer. When we have updates on who plays who in the NJSIAA South Jersey Group 1 playoffs and beyond, we'll let you know on our Twitter page at DW Broadcasting. Our last feature game of the regular season will be Friday at 4 o'clock with the Triton Mustangs and the Delsea Crusaders. From everybody here at Dan Wilkins Broadcasting, my graphics crew Gavin Van Rel and Caleb Lane, my producer Donna Wilkins, and myself Dan Wilkins, we'll see you tomorrow. Audubon and Sterling, 3:45. Have a great night.